dojo, dark mage in the house with the sick flow. Listening to Evil Dojo, Dark Mage, in the house with the sick flow. You are now listening to Evil Dojo, Dark Mage in the house with the sick flow.
For you everywhere, so cold you can't even feel my stare. Why try? I can do the shit anyway. So cash in hand, we ain't got no time to play. Oh no, no, I can't do this alone. Oh no, no, I need that evil dojo. Oh no, no, where the fuck are you, Dark Mage? Oh yes, baby, I need that evil dojo. Hey you, I've been looking for you everywhere. So cold, you can't even feel my stare. Why try? I can do the shit anyway. So cash in hand, we ain't got no time to play. Oh no, no, I can't do this alone. Oh no, no, I need that evil dojo. Oh no, no, where the fuck are you, Dark Mage? Oh yes, baby, I need that evil dojo. Oh no, no. Oh no, no. Oh, oh.
I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun making that one. Something about the sugary sweet pop singer voice really gets me going. I have no shame to say that I did listen to what was it, 1989 in full, like back in like 2013 or so, whenever that. I think it was, no, it was before that. But I don't remember exactly, but I remember listening to it walking outside of my dad's house super late at night, a little bit stoned, wanting to get into the headspace of why this person was so popular. What was it? Understanding viral appeal, and I don't know if I want to call it marketing, but to be honest, I can't even remember a single song from that album. No big deal. Welcome to Evil Dojo. I thought the katana in the background was a nice touch. Good shit, good shit. We got stuff to do. Need to get into the flow here. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday. I've been cranking out streams with irregularity, and I hope to keep this pace up. There's definitely a balance. I can't do 4-hour streams every day yet. There's definitely an alignment process that has to occur. Where do we get started? There we go. For some reason, the orc's not spawning right now. Not exactly sure why. There he is. Okay, and in previous runs, he wasn't spawning. Okay. Pretty consistent now. I'm gonna make a smaller room. 16 by 8's a little big. Do about 4 by 4. See, this is a situation where the orc did not spawn for some reason. So, task 1, the one that I initially set out to thinking for today, is figure that fucking shit out. Why does the orc sometimes not spawn? How bad is my code? It was originally working, but it was also kind of hard-coded-ish. So let's step through the algorithm that I'm using in order to place orcs and why it failed in this situation. My first impression is that the code is blocking when there's an entity on the tile, such as a shield. So, like, there realistically should be no reason that a orc should not be able to spawn on top of a shield or any other item. So what are we counting as walkable? Make sure that we're always passing in a valid dungeon floor. There should never be a case where I'm passing in a null pointer. If I was, I would want to inform myself of this fact And I wouldn't be able to do that if I'm just simply returning 0 and not checking the result on the top. Returning 0 should indicate that there are 0 walkable tiles in a valid dungeon, which I can't immediately imagine how that would happen, but from a code perspective, it's possible. So if we walk through every tile of the dungeon, we can count whether or not it's walkable by checking its type. So if it's not a wall, if it's not unknown, and it's not none, and it's not the count tile, which indicates how many different tile types we actually have, then we count it as walkable. So from here, now we know how many tiles that we need to account for. We create a list of locations by mallocing. A location is just an XY struct that I created. I think it also contains a Z, which in this case would refer to the dungeon floor. In the future, there will be, like, the next version of the game will have like Z levels as well as floors, so that like a room could have like size, like height to it. Height, width. Then we, for every tile in the dungeon, we get the tile and check to see if it's walkable. And if it is, then we update the location for the current count to be that position, so that we actually keep track of all of the different walkable locations. And count 2 should always be less than or equal to the original count, otherwise something broke heavily. Then at the very end, we verify that the counts are equal, and they absolutely should be. And then we can say, okay, well, it's time to create some orcs. And I think the reason it's failing here is actually right here. This is exactly what I said. If the tile entity count is greater than 0, then we continue, as opposed to, oh, and I is incrementing, so that's actually why this is failing, because it's counting that as a successful run. One thing I can do here to fix this too is pull I out of the for loop. And instead of using a for loop, we can use a while loop, while I is less than count 2, or rather, we're going to assert that max orcs is less than count 2 to verify that that actually always works. And then while I is less than max orcs, if we manage to get all the way down here, then the orc has been successfully created and assigned, and we can actually increment I here. And this should actually solve this bug of the orc sometimes not spawning correctly. And the reason that I did tile entity count, and actually, you know, what we should do is change this to NPC count. Oh, and you know what? We can't do that because, or we can't do that from here. We'd have to do it in liblogic. we don't have a NPC count function yet, then we should definitely create one. If we want to do it by XY, first we have to search. Oh wait, okay, first we grab the tile. We verify that we have a tile. Now, in the case where it's no, that's not what we want. If it's not a walkable tile, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no entities on it. So for int I equals 0, I is less than entity count. All right, so we grab the entity from the tile. We check to see if it's in the PC. What? Oh, oops. Can't name a variable that has the same name as another function. We don't want to return one here. There we go. All right, so using tile NPC count instead of oops, not tile, but locations of I.x. And actually, since we pull out the tile, we can call this function the XY version. We can so once we have the tile down here, now we can use that function to call that other new function, given that we use this as a wrapper to pull out the tile. So down here, we don't have to use locations anymore since we already have a tile. And actually, we can make use of that new function. Okay, so it wants to call it with the XY anyway. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. We don't want to increment I there, though. But we do, because then it'll otherwise try to just keep creating in the same location. Not while I is less than max works. Count to is the length of the array, and we don't want to exceed the length of the array, of course. But so we would have to increment I here in order to check the next location. And it's totally possible that, well, in a dungeon that's already heavily populated, but at that point, you know, that we would have overcome the problem at that point. Oops. Whoa. Oh, the game is still running. Duh. Uh, 978. Oh, what? Oh, oops. There we go. Oh, shit. So obviously we want to modify this so that the orcs don't spawn on top of the player. What a big problem this one is. And they also killed the other orc in the process. That's funny. There we go. Much better. What a difficult situation to get out in. I don't have any weapon. I have no shield. But I shouldn't have blocked the attack. That's okay, that's a new bug. Because I have no shield, even though I performed a blocking action. So similar to how I don't punish the player for attempting to attack when they have no weapon, we should also not punish the player if they attempt to block and there's no shield. But the action shouldn't even perform. First, let's check this code in. What's up, Faisal? Faisal Al-Mohana. Hope you're having a good day. It's Thursday, 12:46 p.m. Central. We just fixed a bug involving orc spawning. So next, I have to get another cup of coffee. But okay, you know what? Now's a good time for us to actually compare deepseek-chat versus GPT-4o Nano. Over here, oops, this is the chat window. What's up, Agatha? Oh, dude, my lighting situation is atrocious right now. I still got to get people in to fix some of the outlets. Some of the plugs don't work. So, like, I've got like 4 plugs in my living room that I can't use right now. So there's a reason for that, but good eye. Although I do kind of like how I appear lit on the camera, and I could use some better lights for sure. Maybe some brighter white lights during the day. I suppose I could also open up the blinds, get some natural light in here. Let me try that out. There we go. Natural light. Plus you can't, well, previously you couldn't see all of the mess, but there you go. I particularly like the where I've placed the katana. Okay, so comparing DeepSeek versus Nano, right? I haven't really, well, oh no, this is my DeepSeek usage. This is my OpenAI usage. I haven't sent nearly as many requests with GPT Nano. I've thrown it 143 requests, is 1.349 million input tokens. And I've spent 11 cents. Total tokens, 1.3 million. Over here on DeepSeek, I've sent like 4x that. I'm at like 4 million tokens with 262 requests, and I'm only using 26 cents so far. So like right out the gate, I got the impression that ChatGPT, while faster, also feels just marginally more expensive than DeepSeek during DeepSeek Happy Hour, which right now is. So it's a great time for us to compare, because I'm not spending hardly any money to do this. Why use the larger models if I'm not working with like a huge code base? And I've actually gotten several bug fixes done with DeepSeek's help. I think I got something done with Nano, but let's fucking go. So, very inexpensive usage, right? Like, what's the bug I'm dealing with right now? So, we've still got our sessions open from yesterday. Let's go ahead and freshen up the DeepSeek chat context here. We'll throw this problem at both DeepSeek and ChatGPT and see what they both give us. Okay, so there's a bug. Pretty blunt. Oh, okay. Nice. There you go. Okay, that's score one for DeepSeek. Okay. So we're going to do that going forward. Because DeepSeek managed to actually fix the bug before I got a chance to throw it at ChatGPT, now let's hit ChatGPT up. Okay, well there you go. We can't make the assumption that there's a valid tell here all the time. Tile at should correctly return null if we attempt to get something out of bounds. Okay. This is only making, wait a second. I only told it to make one work. Oh, whoops. We never actually increment created orcs. There we go. Okay. We're back to it. All right, we're an hour in. This will be a good time for me to get another cup of coffee, catch some fresh air. My baby girl is in dreamland for a little bit longer. Let me check the chats. Oh shit, we got some fucking spammers. Have I tried either? Just for coding, I think Quincoder's great. Let's see. All right, we got the problemer out of the chat. I have not tried Aider. I've never even heard of it. reading about it right now. It's got a lot of stars, so it's definitely popular. I mean, that's a very simple demo, but I'm not sure how I like this workflow. It's just a oh, I mean, I say it's just a, but it's kind of an extension of the same stuff that like Cursor offers, where you can use it on like a per project basis, and it's got integration with MCP servers, which a lot of places are starting to roll out functionality for this, so that the LLM is able to do things like call tool functions that can do different things like perform operations on your files. I think for experiments where I would use a tool like this, I would have to create a second copy of my code base, because I absolutely would not want it to mainline my primary code. And in the future, I definitely plan on doing projects involving trying out some of these tools to build new things. I don't have any clear goals on that front. I've dabbled with a lot of the different tools and models, and honestly like working with the API. It'd be fun to dig into finding the best approaches to working with these things, where the experience feels really natural and comfortable, and I don't have to get into the back and forth headache as much, right? Like I'm gonna have to check this out. This seems kind of cool, and a little bit more in the direction that I would want to work, because this could actually be opened inside of neovim, so I could potentially bounce back and forth around between it and neovim and have a potentially good time here. Thank you for the suggestion. I think I would much prefer to try something like this than like Cursor, because this could integrate with my workflow really well. All right, let's take a little bit of a break here. Do y'all want 8-bit music, or do you want metal, or do you want something completely different? What's the energy that we're at right now? Like, what's everybody feeling? How are your vibes? Are you up? Are you down? In the middle? I'm trying to aim for the middle, because you stay too high too long, you're gonna come down, and when you're down, it's really hard to get back up. Stay in the middle, you get that consistency going. Music is energy. You know what? Fuck it. Y'all are getting orc metal. I particularly like some of these tracks that I've made. Y'all may not like death metal or metal as much as I do. I like that one. blocking works. Thought I set it up the other night so that the message window doesn't spam every time you block an attack. So when the enemy attacks here, we want a success animation to like play during the NPC's turn for the player, because when that block animation plays, it's during the player's turn to indicate like what their current action was. But we would want a corresponding state to happen when the player blocks. And actually, I think the way it currently works is it doesn't matter what direction I'm blocking. So we're going to have to fix that too. Because attacking actually is direction based, but the blocking at the moment, we're just using a simple flag. So we need to also check to see like that they're blocking in a certain direction, because I think what I was originally planning was that depending on which direction you're blocking, you might be able to block up to 3 entities all at once. So like if you're facing left, I might want it so that you can block anyone who's attacking in the top left, in the left, or in the bottom left. So like there's going to be some future nuance that I have to deal with where I have to do tests where the enemies are placed on all different sides and get the quality set so that like, because I'm about to implement this guard shield success animation, right? And let's say you have an enemy to your left and you have an enemy immediately above you as well. So this is a question about like which animation takes priority during the NPC turn in relation to what the player is doing. So if the player blocks to the left and they get attacked by the orc on the left and above them, then the final animation state for the player should be a damage animation. Because even though you successfully block the enemy to your left, the enemy above you still manages to damage you. Another approach is that we're going to have to, well, I mean, so the final state is going to be ended up like if you have enemies all around you, and actually I might have it set up so that if you choose to block, it may not matter what direction you're in. because in the worst case scenario, you have enemies completely surrounding you. And a particularly overpowered player who has a really good shield and very high block percent might actually find a way to successfully block all of those attacks. So if an enemy is to the left of you and attacks and you block, it'll be successful, or at least in this beginning part of the process. But if there's an enemy above you and attacks, then the final animation state for the player should be damaged. If the enemy above you attacks first and you're blocking to the left, well, so in the beginning when we're blocking, we're going to make all blocks successful. And then as an intermediary step, we're going to tune it so that blocking happens a percentage of the time, because eventually that percentage is going to be a number that's calculated based upon your stats, based on your equipment. I don't think direction is going to matter for blocking. It could. I'm not going to implement that right now, but I think the idea of being able to cover 3 tiles worth of attacks with a shield is a good limitation. That way it doesn't end up too broken from a game mechanics perspective. Have I ever wrote any Lisp? I pretty much exclude. Really? That's interesting. There's a really good blog post by John Carmack. Let me see if I can get it real quick. Yeah, I found it. Okay. If you look this up, John Carmack's article on functional programming in C. So for those who don't know, Lisp is what we call a functional programming language. It's a very old language, originally used at MIT for early artificial intelligence stuff. The language name stands for list processing, which is exactly what it does, because every program in Lisp is a Lisp data structure as well, which is real interesting. And syntactically, it's god-awful to work with. So many parentheses. When I was in school, our final project for functional programming class, which I actually had to take twice because I failed it the first time, was to write a scheme interpreter, which scheme is a dialect, like a fork of Lisp. And we had to write a scheme interpreter in Scheme. So that was fun. But it's also a good test of like if you really understand functional programming, because like all of the tools necessary to handle and interpret such a program are built into the language itself, in terms of like ability to do pattern matching and recognition. It's a good time, you know, like this is real core computer science stuff. Very interesting that you're using Lisp. Like, what dialect of Lisp, if you don't mind me asking? Because there's a bunch of like I think Clojure is another Lisp-like that uses Java. Could be mistaken. I haven't seen anyone talk about Clojure in a long time on the web, so I don't know how popular it is anymore. But I can't imagine using any other language. Common. Oh, you're using straight up Common Lisp? Fuck, dude. A Lisp for Lua? Oh my fucking god. That's insanity. That just sounds crazy talk, dude. Oh fuck. Lisp inside of Lua? Jesus Christ. That's just getting down into some nasty, nasty shit. That's some dirty raw dog. Goddamn. That's like harder than what I'm doing. I don't know enough about how Common Lisp interacts and has, you know, libraries and stuff to know like what I would need to do to like draw a window, or even like what the common interpreter nowadays is. Oh, you're doing it with Love 2D. Okay. Love 2D operates off of it then. I think I've heard that you do need Lua for Love 2D. As far as I know, yeah, everyone would say C is dirty. As far as I know, I think the Primogen was doing a like a vibe coding game jam in Cursor, and I think they built it using Love 2D. I don't know enough about Love 2D, but I think it's derivative off of this project that was done on 4chan. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was a collaborative effort dating sim game, like a hentai game, where you date like girls with disabilities. I forget the name of the game. It was something like yeah. Katawa Shoujo. This game right here. I don't know if this was Love 2D or not. Oh no. It was using RenPy. Something totally different. Love 2D. Okay, Love 2D is a bit more generic. Interesting. Yeah, there's so many tools out there. I think it's very hard nowadays, especially to do the kind of research to get sufficiently deep enough into each engine in order to do proper comparison and contrast in order to decide what is going to be the best environment to make something in. A lot of people just default to what everybody else uses, and I try not to be like that. That said, though, I maintain a better awareness of the tools out there than my experience. I think that's true for most people. Like, we only have a finite amount of time on this earth. And so when you're faced with a landscape of decisions, how do you go about deciding anything? You know, how do you decide what language to build something in? How do you decide what software to use? All of that kind of stuff. And in my case, a lot of the decisions that I've made over time, it's taken a long time to figure out what I actually want to make something in. Because my perspective has been, the process has to be fun. If it's painful for me to make a thing, I'm not going to want to make it. Well, naturally, higher level languages are better for and faster, and depending on your line of thinking, more fun than building it in a lower level context, kind of like what I'm doing here. If I'm really trying to get lots of shit done fast, and I don't care as much about the error checking, or I don't care as much about making it perfect, or if I just need to get something really quick rolling, Python's a great language. I use it for a lot. Outside of game, I mean, iGame's okay, but like one thing I really like about Raylib is that it has built-in mechanisms to build your game out for the web. And I'm able to actually get this game into a browser. I can host it on a server, give you a URL, and you could play it right away. So I think that's kind of sick. Also makes for easy distribution. When the game's ready, I'll be able to get it up on itch.io very easily. Check out Highlang. Too many languages, dude. Like, you gotta understand, like, my perspective is like, there's so many options. At a certain point, my thought process often is, at this point, why bother learning a new language if I'm able to make my own language? And further, what goal would I have in trying to do this? And I've had this thought more than once. I've actually thought it would be kind of cool to make a programming language that's really dedicated specifically for making games. And now that I say this out loud, Raylib actually kind of provides an interface to being like a middleman in this process. It's very possible I can create a high level language written in C that allows me to script out a lot of what I'm doing here rather than have to write it pure C. And then whether or not it's compiled or interpreted, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how many different bindings there are for Raylib, dude. Like, they've got Rust bindings, they've got Go bindings. I've seen a lot of people in the Raylib Discord working in a bunch of other languages. Yeah, it's great. The problem for me with Lisp is the amount of parentheses. When I get into like my own hangups about like language design, a lot of it comes down to comfort of typing. And this is one reason like I didn't have as much of a problem with Objective-C, because for like it's easy. I mean, it's easier for me to hit the square brackets than it is to hit parentheses. It's slightly lower on the keyboard, so I don't have to move my hands as far up, even though it's only one key away. It's significant enough that it does have an impact on my desire to actually hit these keys. And in Lisp, you have to hit parentheses far more than just about any other key. So I'm not sure what tools would exist to help with this process besides the stuff that I'm already using, like Copilot, etc. But I'm sure there's a good Lisp editor. Well, no, see, I haven't done any real Lisp since like college, and back when I was doing it in college, I was doing it in pure Nano. So what I ended up doing for like formatting was like, I'll give you a quick little example here in the terminal. This, or I don't know. let's see, scheme test.txt. So I was doing something like normally with a Lisp program, you had something like print hello world or some shit like that, right? And then the way that I would do this whenever you had to get like nested and stuff, or you define some function, and then you have like some parentheses that you pass into it. You have something like this. What I ended up doing to like kind of, because at the time I was really about like braces on their own lines, I would do something like this. I mean, when you say I'm coding it wrong, like you have to think of it from the perspective of like coding it in Notepad, right? Like I would do stuff like this because it would help me more visually, and it would allow me to focus more on actually solving problems rather than my hangups with the language itself. Because this is a lot easier to read than whatever the fuck this is. Or at least, just like with all of these parentheses in it just like rubs me the wrong way. Especially when you get into like really more complicated programs, it becomes visually cumbersome. Structural editing, you don't move character to character, line to line, or balance smooth things. Are you working in fucking Emacs? Oh god. Yeah. See, you're yeah. See, you've got some built-in editor stuff that like I would have to pick up in order to like really get good with Lisp like that. So I can understand why a lot of the hardcore Emacs people have been on it for as long as they have. I'm not a hater by any means, but it's more of a stylistic preference issue. Like I said, I worked in Scheme in college for programming functions or programming language class, and I felt like it was a good experience that everyone should go through. And with languages like Clojure that are able to do really good web dev, I believe in the potential performance benefits and all of the other benefits that come along with structuring code in a functional way. I also think it's fantastic that languages like Python and C++ have built-in functional thingies now that, just give us one more option of different ways to do things. And I think that's great because we are still early in the computing era. People were unaware. People would be tripping balls about AI right now, but like we're still like barely 70 years, 80 years into the history. I mean, if you want to go a little bit further back, but I mean, really, computers have only been around that long. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but at the same time, it's two separate ways of thinking. I mean, even from a problem-solving perspective, completely getting outside of the syntactical issues, it took a different, like, because they in school and a lot of it has to do with the order that you learn things in. Like when I was in school, year one is Java, right? Like college, year one Java, year two C, year 3, they start throwing a bunch of different shit at you, and that's when you take programming languages. So you're introduced to functional programming in the programming languages class, and they have like a whole ass half semester on Lisp and Scheme. They spend a little while on how languages like C, C++, Java, etc. operate, Python, etc. And then they get really deep into Lisp and Scheme. And it's really important stuff. It's really useful to know, because anyone who knows enough C can implement their own Lisp. So you can create your own interface into a higher level, which is a very useful and powerful thing to be able to do. Let's get back to it. You learned some Java in 7th grade. After high school, I used Lisp for a decade. Lisp for a decade. That's crazy. Coding for fun is really important. I wish more people did it. I'm doing this for fun and with the intent of actually making something. Plus, I mean, I'm really hoping to achieve multiple goals with this project. It's been my life dream to actually fully make a game. It's one of the first thoughts that I had in my head as a young child, is I'm going to make a game one day. Super Mario is fucking awesome. I owe it to that memory to fulfill it. 2, I've been programming for like almost 30 years. 30. Like, I've been programming longer than a lot of the people watching the stream have been alive. And a lot of people ask me, you know, if you've been programming so long, why aren't you so rich? Or if you've been programming so long, why haven't you created more stuff? And honestly, besides the lack of stability in my life, you know, due to various issues and reasons, and for the few corporate jobs that I worked where I was building things, I wasn't really building anything like hyper interesting. I was getting paid. I can't really point to things that I did because of fucking NDAs. And after my second corporate job, I had the realization, you know, if I'm going to program, I want to be able to put my name on stuff. I want to be able to say, I did this. I don't just want to get paid for it. I want to be able to make something that says, you know, this is what I'm capable of doing. This is what I'm able to do. I did this thing. I want to be able to have a list of those things. So I began working more on my own projects and teaching online after that point. And now that I have a nice spot that I can call my home and office again, after having spent the last few years operating at a much lowered capacity, I'm finally getting back up to speed. I'm very happy about that, and I'm excited. It's a long road ahead, but, you know, one day at a time. And I'm starting to appreciate the longer days where I get up earlier and take my time, get rolling, and get into a good steamroll like this. Not to mention, I enjoy hacking and security stuff too. That's why I every so often fuck around with bug bounty, and if I'm going to take a new position at all, I definitely don't want to do development so much as well, if I were going to do development, I want to do like vulnerability development and research. So I like the low level stuff. It's real interesting. It's far more interesting to me than doing web development. Very few people have actually paid me for any sort of help or work in assembly language, but I've had at least 2 students that I can think of who worked with me for months on x86 64 courses that we're working on. I'm not like a pro at that stuff, but like I'm able to shift into the mindset of how to actually like write stuff. I may not be the fastest either, but slow thinking is fast thinking. Let's think about this blocking animation. I'll check the chat one more time. Okay. Might take a break here in a little bit. I expect my baby girl to pop up any minute. Handle attack block. Need to do an experiment here. I think block success might be getting reset too quickly. Because in the debug panel, I never actually see it. Like if you're looking at block success right here, we never actually see it flip, even quickly. Like with test guard, we at least see it flip on and off real fast. And then is blocking resets correctly, but block success is never getting actually set. I do have Discord, and I've been meaning to wire it back up into the chat because one of the things I wanted to do recently was integrate like GitHub push messages into the Discord, which then I could actually set up a restream bot so that I can wire up all of the different chats together. And that way, the chat can be rolling nonstop while I work on stuff. I might end up using the other OBS so that I can overlaying chat. You know, I just got too much on the screen. But at least with a restream bot, I could push commit messages that I make from GitHub into Discord, which would then get reflected by the restream bot over into Twitch chat, so that y'all could actually read my updates as I make them. And then I could actually give y'all some live feedback straight. If you reach out to me on X, I can hook you up with a Discord link. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to do that though. Oh. Oh. Let's see what that does. Okay, that's the correct animation, but it's stuck in a loop now. When is the correct time to actually reset block success? Be right back. All right, so we've made a little progress. This was a similar problem that we were facing when I was implementing the first blocking animation. We're going to have to step through and make sure that the flags are being set correctly and all that good stuff. Might end up just signing off for right now, though. My baby girl hasn't been out in a little while, and it is about lunchtime. I could use a recharge, take a break, because I'm going to have to step through this and figure this out. But next time I come back, I'm going to have it working.